Hey everyone, welcome to Triage on March 6, 2018. We are going to follow the trend of using the ZHub board again this week, which I'm going to post in general quickly. And all right, cool. Let's get started. Maybe, wait, where's my share screen button?
It's on the left.
Yeah, got it. All right, can everybody see my screen? All right, the only thing with that link that I sent out is you can't actually send a link to the sort of this needs triage column, which is sort of a bummer. So if you're following along, you can just click the settings button, sort pipeline by newest, and that'll get you to the state that I'm in now. All right, so the first issue up is for Builder Depot, builder number 258. Give everybody a minute to read that one. This looks like the trying to upload from your Mac, right?
Yeah. Looks like the same thing.
Yeah. Should we move this one over to the Habitat repo?
Probably so.
Although I think the error is in builder code.
Is it?
I mean, that function he's pointing out, I've seen this before, and that's in the depot server.rs file.
Oh.
So I'm guessing the fix is going to end up in the builder repo.
Okay. Well, we can leave it there for now. I thought that I fixed this in the Habitat CLI code anyway, and I was very confused, like trying to trace the code path for this the other day for somebody else, why it wasn't working. So it could just, I mean, you're probably right, Josh, that it's just in builder.
And this is just for uploads, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, once you have an artifact, as long as it checks out, it probably doesn't matter what operating system the upload's coming from. Like the target is inherent in the artifact itself, so
right.
It's probably just logic we have for downloading and installing that probably just got mirrored into uploading, would be my guess.
Okay.
Also, this is the other side of that coin, then.
I think so, if I understand it right.
There's a few faulty assumptions we're making in some of this code. So yeah, there's definitely something.
Yeah, it would certainly be like nice if I could be on my Mac, do a studio like build of something, and then I know that's in a Docker image, and I'm back out on the Mac and be able to just upload that without having to then go into a studio to do it. It's that would be certainly nice.
Cool. Well, I will consider this triaged with bug. Is everybody cool with those labels? Awesome. Next up is in the Habitat repo, number 4709. This is for the new work for our own session tokens, I believe.
Yeah, we should be auto triaging these as soon as they're opened.
Yeah, I think that was just probably Ryan didn't know. Is anybody actively working on this one? I know Salim, you're sort of heads down in this work. I didn't know if you wanted it in a different column other than backlog.
It's fine. I'll just pick it up if you can assign it to me even.
Okay. This is a new feature I'm thinking. That one is done. All right, next up is on builder number 255. I think there have been several people that have hit this.
Yeah, definitely. There's 2 or 3 issues. They might not be exactly the same, but something's failing right now.
Okay, I think this might actually be a duplicate. Oh, did you move this, Ian?
Yep.
Okay, all right, awesome. Cool. I'm going to mark this as backlog, bug, and probably stability.
Yeah, makes sense.
It might be a dupe, but it might not necessarily be. I see this error message as maybe I'll have to double check. This one looks like the Docker engine isn't running, whereas another one was talking about can't make a symlink or something like that.
Yeah.
They're two different issues, both related to Docker. This is just this one is just not, it's not duplicated over from the Habitat repo. I just moved it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. I was like, wait a minute, this looks like the issue I opened. Or somebody. Yeah, anyway. All right, cool. Next up is Habitat 4703. I mean, it seems like a...
I
don't know.
I would lightly push back against on this one myself personally.
Okay.
It's partly why we're giving like that build report is so you have all the info. Or it would have to be some kind of flag. Like I enjoy the determinants of knowing exactly which artifacts getting uploaded. You can wildcard it, with shell globbing. It's not going to, any artifacts that are already up there, it's going to have to upload them, but it's going to skip committing them.
This feels a little magical.
That's
right?
kind of maybe what I'm circling around.
Surprising too, potentially. Yeah.
And once you upload it, you can't get it back, right? We don't support package revocation or anything like that. So you run the command, and maybe you're just expecting it's going to spit out some help text because you don't really know how package upload works.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it uploads to your private thing, and you're freaking out now. Like, I don't know.
So having said that, though, I am not sure how much that last build.env or whatever it's called. I don't know how much that's actually documented. So as a pro tip, in the right place in our docs or in a knowledge base to say, hey, this thing exists, you can do it by in a subshell, source the file, and now you have a variable that you can pass along. That might be enough to make this an easier task, because we have that there for a reason. It was pretty clear in a CI context. Like, I have no idea what I just built because I don't have control over the release part of it. And that's why that file name is always called the same thing in the same place, is so that you don't have to go and find the report to then use it to source it. So this could be something made easier with docs, is I guess all I'm saying.
I feel like that gets that to source that file, and that variable gets you exactly what you need for this, I think, in a way that it makes you have to ask for it and be very clear about what you want, but you get it then.
What about as sort of a middle ground, the default being to prompt for whether you want to upload this particular version, and allowing for a flag that just says just upload newest?
I think that breaks the existing pattern of what we have, where if you don't provide the right arguments, then you get help text. So that could be super confusing as to why the behavior is different.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that goes for any flag that we would add ever, right?
Well, it's not, but this isn't adding a flag. This is changing the default behavior of...
No, but that's not what I suggested. What I suggested was make the default... I mean, you could make the default behavior just to do that, but that's what I was suggesting, is you could have another flag that makes the default to just choose the newest, or possibly both, have the default behavior to ask if you want to upload the newest if you didn't specify a particular version.
Yeah, I don't know if don't know how much that really buys us over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I mean, right now the command that he's running is like, I mean, it's have package upload, and then he in a subshell just last build, and so a flag, like he's saying that that's too much work.
But yeah, I think that if he wants to run just have package upload last build, he can use the last build.end though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we want to do with this one?
I'd say we close it and say, here's some, I mean, this is my personal feeling, you know, that Ben's workaround is a pretty good one, and changing it to do something magical, you know, kind of is against our philosophy.
Yeah, it might be good to note maybe adding some docs around it, like Fletcher was saying, though. I don't know that how well documented it is, and it is really useful once you realize that it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he alludes to he made like a little shell function, which we could easily just add as like informational or useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually probably not. It's not a bad idea if you're doing that all the time. But again, yeah, I guess I'm more of a fan of the default behavior being very clear, even if that's sacrificing a bit of like default magic for explicit behavior. I would rather it be explicit, because that's sort of it's an expensive thing to like undo, as you know, if you do something accidentally.
Yeah, I feel like if I think it's a well-established pattern for Unix tools that if you just run a command with no arguments,
right,
usually you get some help text back, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like, here's what, you know, is this helpful? And it'd be one thing if we supported taking packages down, but the fact that we don't means that like you might be looking for the help text and you accidentally do something you can't. That just feels bad.
Cool. All right, next up is Builder 240. This is the other Docker issue. Is this already, Salim, did you already triage this?
No, this is, I think it's just one of those duplicate ones.
I'm not so sure. At least this is the original issue. Is that not correct?
Yeah. Sorry, I meant it's one of those trio of issues that are out there. So,
but yeah, they're different in
they're
terms of like what's happening. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it looks like the symlink one is different.
It'd be nice to at least, well, it looks like it's referenced. Willing to publish, or is that another one? Well, if there's a references on there, that's helpful. I suspect it's probably the same underlying thing, but who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
And I would imagine by next triage, the labels at least will be the same across.
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah, like we're getting there. That's like on our list, and we're like actively working on it right now.
I actually was just running a script to do this while you guys are.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say, but like Ian's maybe actively working on that right now.
Okay. All right. Cool. In that case, I will consider that one triaged. Let's see. Builder 234, super tiny hover text on Firefox Mac.
Oh yeah, this. Yeah, I'd probably just I might ping Ryan on this. This is kind of this. I mean, if you see, it's the same size hover text as the actual OS tooltip.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, you know, if you want, I'm either inclined to say, well, this is just the design, or you can ping Ryan and see if he wants to make it larger. Would be my suggestion on this one. Personally, I think it's I see the point making it a little bit bigger. So we will make it larger site wide, maybe.
Right. I will put it in the backlog, and we can decide to close it.
Thank you.
Later if we want enhancement. Maybe. Does that sound? Yeah. Okay. Boom, triaged. All right. So on core plans, upgrade libsodium to 1.0.16.
Oh, that's familiar.
Oh yeah. This looks like Fletcher.
Yeah, so I'm going through some work here to get some of these base plans. So some of the plans that we use to like bootstrap our own tool chain and like the build system.
Right.
So I was kind of working down the list, and so there's probably a couple issues on here. And I noticed our libsodium and maybe libarchive, there's a version or so out of date. So I was going to go through and update that right away, but it gave me pause for a second because we also use the same libraries on the Mac and on Windows. And rather than like updating it in one place and then us potentially having Rust compilation linking problems and like without kind of just doing a quick check across all three platforms, I didn't really want to do that at the moment. So instead I thought adding a reminder is probably just as good in this case, that we should probably do that. I just didn't want to like, have a kind of an additional side task, but I didn't want to forget it either, since I was sort of like re-auditing all the versions.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you want me to assign this one to you, or?
Well, you can. It's.
I mean, you don't have to take it if you don't want.
Pretty much anybody can do it.
Okay.
It's pretty much just a matter of like updating it, but it would also be a good idea to like, build our supervisor and make sure
Right.
that we've got the same version on Windows, whether that's a chocolatey package or a source tarball, make sure on the Mac the same kind of thing. It's just like, it's a little more work and it involves some CI, so.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll just move it to the backlog for now then. I'm assuming that these are probably all the same since they've all got labels.
They're somewhat related, and I was taking a stab at it, like, is that considered triaging? But because it's coming up in this search, I've clearly missed some kind of, it's either a label or maybe it's the pipeline.
It's the pipeline. Yeah, it's the pipeline.
So that one is related to some updates to the wget package. There may have been support previously for, like the weird domain names or non-ASCII characters in URLs.
Right.
Whatever that's called. The newer version of wget required a v2 of one library and this like an additional library. And again, it wasn't exactly working at that one moment, and that was going to be some more work, and I wasn't sure what that was. So it didn't look like wget that we have right now may not fully support it anyways. I may have compiled it way back thinking it did, and it turns out it didn't. So that's a bit of a reminder that we probably want that. It just involves potentially 2 more habitat packages and then linking that back to wget. So there's, I think, 3 issues related to that I probably didn't triage correctly. So we'll see if those come up.
Okay. All right. Well, I went ahead and moved it into the backlog. I think that, yeah, this guy's probably going to be the same. Yeah.
Well, is it? Yep. That's the v2 of that libidn. We have libidn, which is a 1x. And then there's apparently a 2x, and other Linux distributions would call that libidn2, it looks like. So we probably just follow that pattern, but again, it was just some more work. I was getting near the end of a run, and I didn't want to like indefinitely put this stuff on hold. So.
Right. Okay. I went ahead and moved those other 2 that are already mostly triaged into the backlog.
Excellent.
Cool. Scones. How do you say this one?
Great question.
Scones.
Scones.
Go for scones. I love scones.
Oh yeah. There is a chance that one may be software hosted on SourceForge, and I know when I was working the other week and Nell filed this one. During that time, SourceForge had a non-trivial outage. Like things were very down for multiple days. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but we can probably just double check in the plan. Like it may be just something that has completely resolved itself now.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to mark this just as a bug for now. And
it's probably going to be like a 30-second task to figure out if it's still an issue or not. So yeah, that one's probably easily closable.
Okay.
Typically, most of our plans in core, like over the period of years, they usually work from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, unless something weird has happened, like somebody has moved the tarball to another path on a file server and they don't leave a redirect, but that doesn't happen very often. So
Right. Let's see. So this one, MS SQL. Oh, it looks like the location is moved.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, yeah. That occasionally happens, which shouldn't be a hard one, but
okay. Easy.
I think so. Yeah. If the software is the same version, we just got to find the new source for it.
Okay. This seems fine. Is this? Wait, where are these? They're not in the core plans repo, right?
Those are plans that are in the core origin in Builder that should not be, or at least some of them were. I think a lot of these have been moved out, but
yeah, but we can't really remove these.
So there's the ASP plans might actually be a plan that's in core plans. There might be one or two in there that we could get rid of, but there's, yeah, it's more the project in Builder or the package on the Builder origin that we want to figure out what to do.
Yeah, we should remove these, as make some exceptions to our overall strategy of not removing packages.
Well, there's some feature work missing about what happens if you want to like sort of like end of life or deprecate or stop producing builds for something and having a way to communicate to users.
Yes.
And bonus points if there was a way to redirect them to another one, either automatically or just informationally. Like there's probably something in there, and we might be the first customer of that missing feature, because we would definitely want people who've deployed some of those Builder services to not look in core anymore, because we're not producing builds for it anymore. It's in Habitat.
Yeah, I don't think we're the first customer. Actually, we've probably had this discussion multiple times. People ask things like that, but we should open a separate item to get that feature in.
Yeah.
But I don't think that precludes us from deprecating the core stuff. Nobody except us was using those packages, and now if they're using them, they're just using something that's completely incorrect.
Right. Well, yeah, but that's sort of the issue. Is I think that there are a couple of those installations out in the wild that are using them. That should be updated, but I think they are still using them.
So there might be two things in this one issue. One is potentially removing a plan or two in the core plans repo. The other one is, I guess, flagging this as we need to figure out how to account for like packages that we've moved across origins. So we haven't done anything with the Git repo on that one, but that's another issue that we probably want somewhere.
Right. Yeah, I think that second one will become more important whenever we move Habitat itself out into its own origin.
It's going to exacerbate things, because people will be looking for a supervisor eventually in probably the wrong place. So self upgrades would be problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll move this one to the backlog, and then does anybody know if we have an issue for that feature?
I'm betting we probably don't.
I don't think we do.
Worst thing is we're going to find a dupe of it, but I bet we probably don't.
Okay. Does somebody that isn't clicking on the screen, could somebody back channel and file that issue?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Salim. Okay, DD agent is failing builds. Okay, this is yeah. It's just a major upgrade.
I suspect likely someone on our team would be dealing with that in the shorter term, given that we're using that on our infrastructure.
Right.
I think we'll be self-motivated probably. I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody helps us, that's cool too. Help's always appreciated, but
Yeah, looks like Romaine is on it now.
well, that's always a great sign.
Yeah.
He does great work.
All right, let's see. Core PowerShell. All right. I'm just going to assume that that needs fixed. Maybe I'll assign Matt. The power of the triager. All right. Let's see. Up next is Habitat 4684, move documentation of labels into label details.
Yeah, so GitHub added a feature now where the labels can have their own definition attached to them. So if you like look at any of the GitHub labels, you can define what they mean there in the GitHub UI as opposed to in a separate document.
That's nice.
Wow, that's cool.
Do we have a label about labels?
No, we don't have a label about labels.
We probably don't have meta, do we?
That
would only be useful in this situation, probably.
Sure.
I did add
documentation, maybe? It's sort of.
Yep, it's documentation. All the labels on all of the repos should now be contiguous.
Oh, look at you. Sweet.
Cool. All right, I will mark that one as done. Well, done being triaged. Okay, Builder 231. Existing Origin members cannot invite new members to Origin.
I commented on this too. This looks like an instance of the thing that Chris wrote a bug fix for, and it got merged, but I just wasn't sure if it had.
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable about this one being fixed. We could wait for the submitter to respond, but that specific thing has been fixed for sure.
You can always just close it and have them reopen it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Streamline dev cycle for Builder API proxy. What does it say? Salim, open this one.
Oh yeah, Josh is kind of hitting this a little bit right now too. It's a little bit too painful to do UI dev work under the new dev environment unless you plan on running all the npm junk locally, which is kind of painful.
Okay.
So yeah, seems like something we should do. You could assign it to me if you want to, because I probably should do it.
This would be awesome to get in.
Spread some of that work around. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been doing the manual shortcuts that you kind of pointed me to, but yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna assign. Cool. Done. All right. Convert Builder Terraform scripts to use Habitat Provisioner.
I think this one is in question because we still have some concerns about how stable things are with that. So
okay,
hold off on this.
Okay, I'm going to close this one then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good wherever we can use this provisioner, because it probably works great. The only place where we might want to be careful is when we're bootstrapping our own platform. If we made perhaps like a breaking change that's not yet shipped in the Terraform provisioner, we might not be able to actually stand up our own stack. So that's like one place where we might want to rely more on our own kit.
Right.
But everywhere else, yeah, we should definitely. I think Nell's actually done some work with some pipeline stuff using that.
Okay, another Terraform one, Datadog setup cleanup. Work item to clean up the Datadog setup.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do this anyways to get some of the new metric stuff properly lined up. So you can even just assign that to me.
Okay. This is gonna be clear. Sure. Okay. Let's see. Oh man, we're reaching back in the Wayback Machine. We're back to a month. Gossip. Oh, I'm gonna leave that ticket up and close my door.
I think we talked about this in Triage last week, and it was decided that we needed to talk about it some more.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
We have more people here now.
My guess, realistically, is it's probably going to be easier to reason about this after some of our supervisor work has landed. Not to say we can't have the discussion now. I know it's a little hard for me to like think beyond some of the other work we've got in the supervisor.
Okay. Should I put this in the backlog? I mean, we've obviously triaged it. We know we want to talk about it.
If there's a way this can periodically come back up, or maybe just if it's like on some cadence that we're bringing up all the needs discussion ones, then that's probably okay. Does that sound right again?
I would just not put it in the backlog until we're ready to
okay.
decide where
Okay.
to put it.
That'll keep it coming back up at least.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a similar thing for this one.
Yeah, those are related.
Okay. I think this one is not supervisor related though. It looks like they just want to add arbitrary information to the package.
I guess what would be useful there is sort of some examples of what that might be. Because maybe one of the examples is like, oh yeah, we should do that for all of our packages. Like maybe one is an actual good common denominator.
Right.
I think he lays out an example in 4586. Like part of the reason he wants metadata for packages is to be able to gossip that metadata around and then take action on it. Like
yeah, okay.
Okay. Maybe since these are so related, I'll just leave them for post supervisor work. That's okay with everybody? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Builder 161. Builder rebuild all Ruby packages while merging Ruby 2.5.
That sounds great, right?
Did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, seems like it.
So the expectation was that we would only get Ruby 2.5, I guess?
I think so. And packages that depend on Ruby 2.5.
Right. Okay, yeah, perhaps there we have triggered by, yeah, maybe it's, oh, is that like an actual test case that would fail? This is starting to sound maybe just like a parsing bug that we've got.
Yeah, this looks like a regex bug.
Ah, okay. That's probably a bug then.
Yeah, we should fix it.
All right.
Fixed. I remember something like that where like the regular expression like wasn't like including the slash at the end. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's for Java packages.
Right, but I thought I had fixed that. I wonder if this is there's some other code that's doing something similar but not using the same code.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is S. McFarlane has provided us with a handy test case.
Yeah, which I would say the fix would be great if it contained that so we could prove that it's solved. That's pretty good.
All right, cool. Let's see. Periodic canary build jobs. I think that
I made this back when we had that unfortunate Docker issue.
I'm going to call that a chore.
Yeah.
Okay. The unfortunate Docker issue.
The incident that shall remain nameless.
Yeah, exactly. And blameless.
Of course.
All right, Builder 157. When a build fails in Builder, okay, oh, sorry. Have a bad habit of reading out loud.
Yeah, this came out of the same unfortunate incident, and I think this is something that we have talked about before and agreed on, and I forgot to put it in backlog.
Yeah, this is closed actually because we did a bunch of work to start doing friendly. If you look at my comment, or is it maybe the other one's closed or something? But
so I think your second paragraph there.
Right. Okay. So the second paragraph there is it's a studio maybe refactoring. I'm not quite sure what the answer is.
Some of this was like exit codes, and then I think we realized we had how we were rolling up some of our Rust errors that, like, you know, we had a function that was calling a studio build and some Docker exports. So we've started some of that work. It would be great if we got to a point where we could track the error rates of a worker failing a job versus like a studio failure, I guess. It's an easy way of knowing, like, is this an error that happened on the platform? Like, is this a problem for our team and our platform versus like a plan build that just
like you've got a typo in your plan.
Right. Yeah. There's a file that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
right,
but it's hard to differentiate between a bug that we just put in or somebody had a typo in their plan file. Like, how will we know? You know, if we could know that.
Yeah, about the best we can probably get is the exit code out of a studio build, and our assumption would be that, like, this studio code is okay. If we introduce a bug, that's going to fail everyone's build, but at least we're closer. Like the Git clones and the package uploads and the Docker exports, like all that stuff, we're getting closer to being able to, like, concretely differentiate between them.
Yeah, those things are in good shape right now. It's just the stuff that comes back from build.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll put it in the backlog, and then maybe we can figure out how to, handle exit codes. Let's see. Single source of truth for origins. Oh.
Yeah, I wrote this in response to a bug that there's just some behavior that Chris Nunziata was seeing in the UI, and I think he ended up getting around it by adding a sleep.
Basically,
It's a way for that basic behavior to happen, and I don't know.
Yeah, we should probably fix it more properly. Like,
I'm gonna call it a bug.
Yeah, it's kind of a bug.
Well,
it's like
I'm not sure it's a bug. I think it may be part of our sharding design and what comes out of that, the routing from that. So
it's a bit of architecture.
That we need to think about. But yeah.
Okay.
This is actually an issue also with the scheduling, right? Because we have multiple sources of truth for what is a package.
Yeah. Do we want any more discussion around this one, or just somebody can pick it up?
That might not be a bad idea. I mean, I guess it's it'd be useful for a few of us to have a discussion, but
we need pretty good to mark it as need discussion.
Yeah. Otherwise, if it didn't have that, you could assign it to someone at some point. They're going to be like, "Hey, I need to talk to other people about this." So, one way or the other.
Okay. Let's see. Disable intercom signups for dev environments.
That would be great.
Yes.
Agreed on that one.
Somebody should do that. I don't know. Maybe that should be me.
I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about the stats that I get, and
Yeah. So for those watching the stream, when any one of us are working on Builder itself, like locally, running it on our laptops, we're also signing up to basically Builder every time we redeploy, including some of this intercom stuff that's trying to like help users and that kind of thing. So it makes our metrics pretty interesting. That I'm guessing like Chris is a real power user that keeps signing up all the time.
Yeah, I mean yeah, and there's just a note there. There's a bunch of stuff to shut off on the UI for this, but I think Josh may know for sure, but I think there are some server side things that would need to be disabled too, probably for various things. Well, but yeah,
okay,
we should do this. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay, Habitat 4522.
Yeah, this was a follow-on to the tar exporter. Sort of once the good abstraction for a build a route has been determined, we should make it a real thing and then use that in all the exporters.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably a shore-ish kind of thing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, if it never happens in the next year, it shouldn't break anything. It just makes it's
just internal refactoring.
Right.
I don't think it's a feature.
You don't think so?
Feature implies something
that's true.
Users directly be able to take advantage of.
Right. Okay.
Whereas if we do it right, they won't even know that this happened.
All right, cool. All right, next up is Habitat 4519.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is this so that we can, for arguments, to take multiple instances?
Yeah.
I have found some flags in the CLI parser clap that we use that I think would help. So I believe there might actually be some solution to this. With clap, it's sort of clever about when you say an option can take multiple arguments. By default, it does stuff like multiple peer flags like that, but also --peer with multiple values separated by commas. And I think there's a third option where it's space delimited options after peer, and you can turn that last one off because it really makes things complicated for the CLI parser. So I believe if we want a particular behavior, I think we can get it now, whereas I wasn't really sure 6 months ago.
Okay.
Does that make sense, or have I completely misunderstood?
So I think I was working with a customer who was running into an issue with this, where they had been specifying things, I think it was either space delimited or comma delimited. Oh, yeah. And like they had like a list of 3 tiers, and they were only getting first one.
Yeah, okay. Basically. It's probably the space delimited, which is something we've never documented that we support. It was just a side effect of how our CLI parser was implemented. But realizing that's the case, I don't think we want to support that anyway. So I don't know if we're breaking anybody. If anything, we're reducing the number of bugs.
Yeah, I mean, I poked around, and like definitely specifying peer like over and over works, and we get, if you specify 3 times, you get 3 different values, so that works. Yeah, this was, I think when I wrote this, the spirit was like, let's just check all the things that might be taking multiple arguments and ensure that, like, whichever way we want to accept repeated values, let's like ensure that everything is doing that consistently and document it as such.
Yeah.
So, like, this may be just a documentation issue, depending on what digging into the code turns up.
Yeah, it'll probably be both if we're not clear enough about passing multiple peers is we can show there's one way to do it or there's two ways, but in clap there's three ways by default, I believe.
And depending on who's implementing a feature and what examples they're looking at, like you could easily imagine like that we have all three of them in the code.
Yeah. Well, and what we found is so if you say -- peer and like IP1 space IP2 space IP3, those second and third ones could be interpreted as arguments to a command, and that's where the parser can get kind of confused because clap's really permissive about where you put options if it's before or after arguments. It kind of lets you do both, so it's really unclear what those arguments are related to, and that's why I would want to get rid of space separated ones, which I don't know if you could always turn that off, but you can turn it off now, or I found out how to do it. So let's keep this one around. It's actually a solvable problem now, I think.
Cool. All right, that one's in the backlog. Let's see, Builder 118. Oh yeah, I filed this one a long time ago. I think this one's actually going to be difficult. I think it'll actually require another service because we don't have a mechanism to validate those credentials. Like there's no API to go and hit for your ECR credentials. So you have to actually do a login to make sure they're correct. And that would, you basically need something that's just constantly running Docker so that you can go and ask, like, are these credentials valid? And it goes out and validates them. Let's see. Builder.
Do we have an it's complicated?
Yeah, it's complicated.
A less easy, I think we have, or we used to have.
I enjoy those.
Intermediate between hard and hell dive.
Yeah, we have less easy.
I enjoy the less easy because I feel like sometimes if I put something as easy, maybe that's editorializing, like, oh, I think it's easy, but somebody else might think it's not. So I tend to use less easy.
Intentionally euphemistic.
Yeah.
Left as an exercise for the contributor.
Let's see. Ability to run dev mode packages in a studio. Oh yeah, we talked about this one at Rally, I think. So I filed this one. So the gist of it is, like, you should be able to enter some sort of like development shell where you can run cargo check, and it's got all the paths to cargo for you, just as it would for your normal build. And I think that would go a long way to getting the feel of like what a development studio is.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll get to it. Maybe somebody else will. But I'm gonna selfishly put it in the backlog. Let's see, Builder 116. Oh yeah, so I filed this one also when I was working on the development environment, because right now all the builder services by default pull the stable builds,
right?
Which is not necessarily what you want for a development environment.
So if there's an ability for me to choose, because I was surprised by this as well, and then I thought, you know, what I was working against was easier, right, in a way that if I had something that didn't work right out of the bat, like I just wanted to run builder sort of as like, let's assume that this works, and then I want to like work on my small part. I actually had like a pretty good experience there, but then there's other times where you want the most unstable thing possible if there's breaking changes inter-service. So
right,
whatever the default is, as long as it's clear, and if there's a way to like flip it the other way, that would be really, really cool.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe it's more appropriate to do unstable by default. I don't know. What does everybody else think about that?
Well, for dev environment, we should just be building all the packages, because that's really the only way to be sure what you're testing and deving is what you have in your repo. But the unstable seems like it's a good move. Until we have that where we mandate that every package is built, unstable seems like the right thing.
So I kind of differentiated. In my case, I just was working on the worker. So the only one that I built, like source built, was the worker. And I realized, I guess if I want unstable, I could just build all the components locally, and then I'll have even more like current than unstable. So then that's how I reasoned that like, oh, the actual stable package as a default was kind of useful for me, because I could just run the stable router and work on a source build of whatever I was working on. So
right.
I forgot about that. Like, you can kind of get both. You can mix and match in our studio right now, which is nice. Is either consume packages that are already there, or like build your own and use those.
Yeah, but unstable doesn't mean that they're broken. That's the thing.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean that they're broken for the builder packages, but it could mean that they're completely broken for other core packages, which is why it pulls stable by default right now, because I was getting unstable versions of curl that have dependency problems.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. There's a lot of core I mean, ideally there could be, differentiated between core or the HAB packages versus the other ones.
Oh, this is a little different.
Yeah,
Okay.
It gets a little hairy. I'm actually sort of inclined to close this because I think the strategy that we have now, where if you want something that's super unstable, you just build it for the Builder Studio, and then that way we don't have to worry about pulling in unstable curl and getting all sorts of like dependency conflicts.
Yeah, put a note in there on why we want to do that then.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So I'll add the note and then close it. But I think we're coming up on the end of time for triage, so I'll make that the last one and close it out. Does anybody got anything else they want to add to triage?
Our builder packages are in their own origin now, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So does that affect the getting unstable, like OpenSSL builds?
As far as I know, you can't set a channel for an origin. So I can't say that I want unstable from my origin and stable for core.
Right, but if you're pulling in, like, if you're saying, grabbing unstable builder, blah, 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 that should be, when that was built, is that going to be built against unstable OpenSSL?
If you have a dependency on OpenSSL, it'll get built, and you'll end up with a package sitting out there in a builder channel that's not been promoted. So you'll have an unstable, like if we promote OpenSSL and one of our packages in our own origin depends on core OpenSSL, then when OpenSSL gets rebuilt, our package will in that chain also get rebuilt, and we'll have our own unstable package sitting there waiting to be promoted.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Never mind.
Never mind. I regret everything. All right, cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for Triage. We will see you all next week.